Just Shapes and Beats is a rhythm-based bullet hell game that is very simple to learn. Just move around and avoid pink hazards. The only quirky skill you get is dashing, which makes you accelerate for a short time with a little time of invincibility given while dashing. I think the player gameplay alone is quite lacking, but it is supported by most of the level designs in the game. But with such simplicity, how will the game introduce their gameplay mechanics? Introducing the story mode. The story mode includes chapters that show the story's progression. As you progress through the game, the difficulty of each chapter increases. The first chapter is called the tutorial. From the name alone, this chapter pretty much functions as the game's tutorial. In this video, we're going to deeply analyze the tutorial chapter and see if this game offers a good tutorial to introduce the game's upcoming mechanics and level designs, as well as the story progression itself. Let's go! Corrupted is the first ever level that is shown in the story mode. From the start of the level, the game shows a triangle. I generally don't know what this floaty thing is, but let's just call it a triangle. Before approaching the triangle, players get a chance to move around and know the controls. After getting into the triangle, you'll progress and be introduced to the first ever pink hazard, the spike ball. From this, most players would already know that this is something to be avoided, since they got time to think on what those things are. As you progress through the triangles, you're introduced to more types of attacks, like bombs, lasers, and these circles that are actually not circles. They are called black holes for some reason, despite them not being, absorbing the player, like black holes absorbing the player. And then you'll get to this part. Now, a smart player would know that you can dash through this from the first part of the tutorial, since you're given space to test out the controls. See what I did there? Space, because you press space to dash. But if you don't worry, because there will be birds that appear and will show you how to dash. Now, after this, the level progresses until you reach a part where you're trapped with black holes from each side. And then, well, just see it for yourself. Goodness gracious! This right here is such a strong introduction to the game. The level ends with one last spike ball pillar for you to pass through. Corrupted is one of, if not the best tutorial levels that I've seen in games. Its simplistic charm yet strong feel that it brings through the game is so good. From how the controls are brought up, I think it's very clever. The level doesn't just give you a splash text on how the controls would work. Most of the time, you'd explore it yourself. I want to bring up the dash introduction again. The fact that they could have done the easy way by putting a text on how to dash, they did not do that. Instead, they gave a nice introduction with birds dashing around without actually telling the player which control to use. But it makes the player discover that there is a key to press for dashing. Overall, such a great tutorial level. After beating the level, you'll be shown an overworld view on the levels available. You get to pick one of the 3 levels freely. I think for an overworld introduction, they are playing it safe, but it is still pretty effective since the game will offer more overworld ambience and visuals later on. So, it's solid as is. So, why am I discussing the first and the third level immediately before Milky Ways? Well, it's because the devs seem to make both of these levels similar to each other. They are actually very clever to put them on the first and third option of the 3 levels, since players either tend to try the first level or the last level. So design-wise, I think it's very smart. The levels, on the other hand, is definitely something. Let's start with Chronos. The level itself is pretty average. In fact, it actually serves its purpose quite well. For example, the big spike bomb part is honestly a solid introduction of the many surprises the game will offer. I think it's pretty neat. And that is like the only neat part. The rest of the level is as basic as first levels would be, and again, it serves its purpose quite well. There are some flaws though, like how empty this part is. Now, one fair argument is that this part is needed to not overwhelm the players with a lot of attacks firsthand, but because of the song option, it just makes it feels empty. It doesn't hype me up, if I'll be honest. It feels like I need to move at this section. Like, of course you can vibe, but I need attacks to feel this part, you know? There are ways to make the pre-drop well. You know, like not empty, but not overwhelming as well. You know what? Here's my take. Now, obviously it doesn't have to look like this, but what I'm trying to show is that it kind of feels like, from how the song plays, this part should have been done more and, you know, not to be left blank. On the other hand, Logic Gatekeeper is honestly problematic. If this is the first level that you chose instead of Chronos, boy would you be quite more overwhelmed with this part. But other than that, the level barely gets its job done. If you played Chronos already, you'd just think this level is forgettable, just because it's shorter and a worse Chronos. Also, a fun fact, Logic Gatekeeper is the second shortest level, 1 second ahead of the Lunar Whale. There isn't any charm on this level other than the start, which is also pretty short, although I'll be honest, the sync is pretty good. Don't get me started with the song choice. I love Logic Gatekeeper so much, but it honestly sucks to see the level being used in a tutorial level instead of a late game level, like in the tower or something. Hell, I take industry. The song has so much going on, and the start honestly sounds like an intimidating hard level. But oh well, gonna make another intense song into a tutorial level again, huh? So, we're going to make the third tutorial level. Do you guys have any ideas on what the level is going to be? Chronos is the first level, silly. Wait, hold up, he's actually onto something. Oh, genius! Let's make another Chronos. But what song would... I do think we can use Yokuman's theme. Oh, magnificent! I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just say Logic Gatekeeper definitely exists. Title aside, I think Milky Ways is a nice tutorial level. The song choice is also fitting for a tutorial level, if I'll be honest. It even got some players tricked into thinking that this is a boss fight, because of the name of the artist.
Oh, that is good. That is good. What is this one? Milky Ways, the boss fight.
Right, now, if I go over here, what the freak? A boss fight? Unless maybe the artist is called boss fight, you know what I mean?
I think that's pretty funny. The level design is also very effective. It looks like it has so many things going on, and it is definitely quite a hard second level, especially since this level only has one checkpoint. The attacks are also fresh in this level. I like it. Speaking of fresh, now let's jump to the freshest boss in the game. After beating one of the levels, you will be shown a progression towards a bigger level in the Overworld. This requires you to finish all the levels shown. After that, you will face the first ever boss fight in the game. Long live the new fresh. The level starts off with the boss shooting spike balls, but after some time, it will spam a lot of spike balls. This reminds you that the game, or specifically this boss fight, will have a lot of surprises. As the boss then charges, it will go for its first attack and will stop and bop to the beat. Then, the boss shows more of its attack by shooting hands, which are quite challenging for starting players. Some players would definitely die when the boss rotates with 4 hands, and from this would warn the player that a boss fight's main difference between levels is that it has no checkpoints. And then there's a repeat of the first part. Then more surprises on attacks that you will need to memorize. Overall, this is a well thought of boss fight. The song choice also works as a tutorial boss. The boss design is also simplistic, and I can say it's pretty iconic. And the level design is challenging, but it's definitely not annoying. A very solid introduction to bosses. After beating the boss, you will then witness the paradise, showing you what the story mode will offer later on. You will explore paradise, meet this big cube dude fella, this dancing flower, a slide for some reason, and progress through the path. Then, you seem to want to purify a tired flower, just to realize that that is the boss being awakened again. This shows that the game's theme revolves around "It's not over," giving a foreshadow for the ending. The tutorial of Just Shapes and Beats is both clever and mind-boggling. Despite the weird song choices and some questionable level designs, the levels all mostly serve their job as tutorial levels pretty well. Corrupted is definitely the best out of all of them, because it does its job more than it needs to be, in my opinion. And the boss fight is definitely a good start for more upcoming boss fights as you progress. Alright, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. Either you agree or disagree. It's fine both ways. Sorry if some parts come off as offensive, especially at that logic gatekeeper part. I'm sure the devs didn't actually think like that, but it still irritates me. But I'm just sharing my thoughts anyways. With those out of the way, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.